Welcome, Real Estate Hustler Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Appleman. Today we're joined with Brandon Rickman. He is an Atlanta real estate investor with 500 plus flips, rental, and private lending experience. He's developing a Class A self-storage project and has built and sold consumer brands. Brandon, we appreciate you coming on the show today. If you could let the listeners know a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks, Josh. Excited to be on talking with your listeners and sharing some of my experience and mistakes in the real estate world. So, like you mentioned, I am based in Atlanta, just north of Atlanta. Have been in real estate for over 25 years, primarily flipping houses for the last 22 years, 23 years now. So started out actually in new construction. So my dad was in real estate construction, and so kind of taught my brother and I how to do construction from the ground up. So that's where we started working for him in the summers and weekends growing up. And then after college, decided to get into flipping. And the first house that we flipped, my wife and I did, was we didn't know anything about it. I was working for another builder here in Atlanta, building houses, and she was a school teacher at a high school here locally. And we said, we wanted to make some extra money. We're tired of living paycheck to paycheck and only having 2 weeks of vacation a year. We kind of wanted to do our own thing. So we said, let's figure out how we can make a little extra money. So we were walking around in our neighborhood that we lived in, and we saw a house that was kind of not being taken care of. And we went up, knocked on the door. And as it turned out, we ended up buying the house, remodeling it. We actually did most of the work ourselves, nights and weekends, laying tile, painting, doing all the work ourselves, which was a huge mistake that we learned from. Probably cost more money and took more time than it should have. But at the end of the day, we sold it, we made money, and we said, wow, let's go do this again. So that's how we kind of started in the flipping, and then eventually grew that to where we were both doing it full time and got up to where we were flipping 100 houses a year. So that's kind of our start.
Cool. How do you get 100 houses a year? It's I get how you want to get there, but it's finding the 100 houses per year to flip. That's the big question mark that I have. Did you set up a big funnel with wholesalers? Did direct marketing? How'd that go?
Yeah, it was all the above. We actually kind of built to that. So obviously, when you're first starting out, you're not doing all that kind of marketing that we're doing when we were doing 100 houses a year. But actually, after probably 10 years of doing it, I went to work for a buddy of mine who was doing what's called turnkey. So he was buying a lot of houses, remodeling them, putting a tenant in place, and then selling those to investors with a tenant in place. That's called a turnkey model. And he had built that company up to where he was doing 120, 130 houses a year. And so I went and joined forces with him, ran his acquisitions team. He and I ended up starting a few other businesses together. But that's where I really learned how to do all the outbound marketing and how to really scale. And we did everything to answer your question. So we contacted real estate agents. We ended up hiring multiple acquisition managers and training them on different aspects of the business. So working with real estate agents to get properties that were on market that maybe hadn't sold in 30 or 60 days, we can make them an offer. We did all outbound marketing. So we did bandit signs. We actually had 2 guys who were door knocking full time. So they would go to a neighborhood, walk around the neighborhood, knocking on the doors of people, asking them if they wanted to sell their house. If they weren't home, we had door hangers that they would hang on the door. It says, call me if you're interested in selling your house. We had direct mail. We were doing tons of direct mail, pay-per-click. Pay-per-lead wasn't as big back then as it is now, but we were doing pay-per-click, cold calling, texting. So we were doing all of those different techniques, and again, had multiple acquisition managers who were working on different aspects of it. And then we had one acquisition manager who was solely focused on working with other wholesalers. So all day, every day, he's looking at 30, 40, 50 emails from other wholesalers and going through, running the numbers and making offers so that we could buy from other wholesalers as well.
And where was the cash coming from, the capital?
From private investors, private lenders. So we worked with some hard money lenders, some companies, national hard money lenders. And then over time, we built up private lenders. So we're working with a lot of private individuals who were loaning us money out of their 401k or their Roth IRA or just cash that they had in the bank.
Got it. That's a ton of work, because the entire transaction process for a single family home, a lot of work for one flip, essentially, correct?
Yeah, Yeah, it
And that
is.
lasts 90 days, 120 days, a year. How
Yeah.
long? I guess it depends on how heavy the lift was.
It was, yeah. When I was working with my buddy doing the turnkey stuff, our average cost was $25,000 to $30,000 to make a property ready for a tenant. And then when we switched and went into flipping full time, we were spending 85 to 100 on the average flip. So the time to get those ready was much longer, and the cost was much more to do it. So yeah, it's probably average 100 days from start to finish.
And then out in the field, project managers, superintendents.
Yeah, so it was a team. It's funny when I tell people that we got to where we flipped 100 houses, people assume like, how in the world could you flip 100 houses by yourself? Well, we didn't. Obviously, we had project managers, we had some crews that worked for us full time, and then a lot of subcontractors, and we kept most of those subcontractors busy only on our properties because we were doing so many properties. There was always, we'd have 8 to 12 projects, 15 projects going on at any given time. So we had multiple project managers running each project and scheduling with our contractors and the subcontractors. It was a machine. I mean, it was we had an office with, I think, 9 employees at one time. So yeah, it was a machine to keep up with that kind of volume.
What? So that was, but what made it wind down, and then what did it look like when it finally wound down? Because sometimes you build up this wave because you're constantly plowing cash forward on the next project,
Yeah.
but the back end builds this wave. Did that happen, or how did you wind it down?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. I think, scale is kind of the sexy word. Everybody wants to scale, scale, scale. And I was part of that too. I kind of got in the mindset of, I want to scale, I want to grow, I want to get bigger, I want to make more money, impact more lives, and help more people. And you don't realize until you start doing that it becomes a full-time, more than a full-time business, and all the stress of handling the finances and the stress of the people and hiring and training and firing. And so it was a combination of just being overworked and overstressed and the market starting to slow down. We transitioned in 2018, I would say, mid 2018, to where we were doing more wholesaling and less flipping. And so through 2019, 2021, even through mid 2022, we were doing way more wholesale, probably 75% wholesale, 25% flipping. So that you're able to still do volume and not have as much time and money tied up in it, especially when we learned about moving on from assignments to do double closings on our wholesale deals and also use pass-through funding. We were selling to a lot of hedge funds during that time, 2021, 22. And so those guys were super easy to work with. We'd send them a property, and the next day, within 24 hours, they'd send us a price. And, they didn't care how much we were making on it. This is what they were willing to pay, which oftentimes was close to retail. So we used to say, anything we could get under contract from 2020 to 2022, we could sell. It didn't matter what it was, what the price was, there was a buyer. And so that was super busy during that time. But again, it was largely wholesaling to hedge funds. And then probably July of 22 for us, it was like a light switch went off. I think it was a combination of the interest rates going up, hedge funds pulling out, but they had driven the prices up so high to where it was a seller's market. And so sellers wanted super high prices, which made it difficult for us to buy. Hedge funds weren't buying at retail prices anymore, so we didn't have that outlet to sell to. And so over the course of August of 22 through the end of 23, we just gradually scaled back down. Had to get rid of some people, obviously, went from doing 8 to 10 deals a month down to doing 6 deals a month, and with a smaller team. But the benefit to that is we're actually making more money and much less stress on me and my wife and our team doing a fewer number of deals.
Yeah, I'd say you found out that you're making more deals wholesaling than out there flipping and all the things.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, a large flip, large turn, large project. You've got theta, the time decay, and these projects can just drag on and on and on by the little things, and it's death by a million paper cuts almost.
Yeah,
So
it is. And then you're dealing with permitting and inspectors and county issues. And when you move to wholesaling, I kind of did it backwards. Probably a lot of the people that you talk to in the single family side will start with wholesaling and then move to flipping and then move to buy and hold or new construction if they ever get to new construction. I did it backwards. I did new construction first, flipping second, and then wholesaling third. But it was much easier, doing the wholesaling and moving the properties quickly. I think it was in 2022, our average profit per deal on our wholesale properties was $42,000. So we were making a ton of money wholesaling properties without having to go through all of the headache and the stress of buying the property, remodeling it, and then reselling it.
Yeah, because really you're just plowing it back into marketing. The better your marketing, the more exposure, then more leads, more closes. Plus your huge outlets. I mean, it's feed the beast, which that time was the hedge funds. Give them what they want. And it's a win-win. If you knew now, or if you knew then what you know now, what have you changed in your real estate journey?
I think one of the things that I've learned is that you have to be flexible in what your business model is and change with the market. We have people who come in, that we work with now and help them. They want to learn how to flip houses. And they're like, that's all I want to do is flip houses. I don't want to wholesale. I don't want to buy and hold. I don't want to learn sub two or lease options. And I try to encourage them. You need to know how to do a lot of different things because as the market changes, you're going to have to pivot with the market. And so what that's looked like for us, as I mentioned, is, when we had great buyers being the hedge funds and we could find properties at a decent price and we had somebody that was paying almost retail for them, then we could wholesale and make as much money or more wholesaling than we could flipping without the stress. So we needed to pivot, stop flipping as much, start wholesaling more. And then since 2022, because it was such a buyer's or a seller's market, we couldn't find as much inventory. So we didn't have the ability to find prices at a low enough price that we could wholesale them, but we could flip them. And because it was a seller's market, it was a little bit harder for us to find property, to find the inventory at the right price. But when we did, and we did a good rehab on it, then it sold pretty quick. So now we needed to pivot back into being a flipper, less wholesaling because there's less properties out there and you can't get them at the right price. But if we could get a property that we could rehab and sell, we could sell it at a premium. So again, kind of pivoted our business model to less wholesaling, more flipping over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Keep the best and sell the rest.
Yeah, we did. And we bought and hold rentals as well. We've done short-term rentals and long-term rentals, which I think is always a good plan. I always encourage people to be able to do all those things and kind of look at it in 5 properties. So you can wholesale properties for quick cash. You can flip properties for bigger amounts of cash, generally speaking. And then you can hold properties for building long-term wealth. So we kind of tell people wholesale 3, flip 1, buy and hold 1. Wholesale 3, flip 1, buy and hold 1. That way you're getting the quick hits from wholesaling. You're getting the bigger hits from the flipping, but you're not having to do that full time. And you're building long-term wealth by holding some of the rentals as you go.
Yeah. Today money and then tomorrow money. And that's, I think that's why you started out with new construction and then flipping and then wholesaling. Wholesaling provides the today money to pay the bills while you're working on everything else. And there's also there's the dips, there's the valleys where you need today money to fill in the void to get to tomorrow money, which might have been the flip. The property's under contract for 45 days, and you need. But everything together, I mean, it works. That's real estate. Yeah. That's a real estate and investment company that. The only thing you're missing out on, which your wholesaling took care of, was your brokerage piece.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? That kind of goes into off topic, but on topic. Wholesalers are starting to be more and more pushed out with legislation. What are you seeing on your end with that?
Yeah, I've seen it in some states. We don't have that in Georgia. Again, I'm based outside of Atlanta. We don't have as much of a trouble with it at this point. But I would say, what we're seeing, and this happened years ago as well, when we were buying and holding more properties, rental properties and short-term rentals. And then again, as the seller's market went up, that caused us not to be able to find as many properties. So over the last couple of years, we've, had those properties that we've had for a while. We started selling off some of those. And now I'm starting to see the market shift back into buy and hold. I think in 2026, we're going to have opportunities to buy properties that we can hold on to again. because the prices are coming down, it's becoming more of a balanced market. So for 2026, we're looking to do more buy and hold based on what we're seeing in the market. And to answer your question specifically about legislation that's going on, I have seen other states that are adding regulations around wholesaling and kind of knocking a lot of the wholesalers out. We've always, not when we first started, but now we close on everything we wholesale anyway, whether it's a double close or we actually close on it and then wholesale it off later. So I'm not as concerned personally for that because we do close on everything. But I do think, if regulations continue to expand across the states, it's going to hurt a lot of the wholesalers out there who don't have the ability to close on the properties.
Got it. Yeah, no, Ohio, they just changed it up last month, I believe, to where there's no wholesaling at all. And that's wholesaling is signing contracts for the listeners. Get under contract, assign the contract, and then there's a delta that's made between under contract and then what you sell for. And then now
I've seen some as well. Sorry to interrupt. I've seen some places too that require a hold time. So you've got to, if you buy a house, in order to keep you from double closing or wholesaling, they want you to own the house for 60 days minimum or 90 days minimum before you turn around and resell it. So that's been some of the suggested regulations that have come out. I don't know that that's been passed in any states yet, but I know that's some of the talk that I've been hearing.
Interesting. Got it. Huh. And now you're working on self-storage. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that. How big, size, scope, and what got you into it?
Yeah, kind of like my other real estate stuff. I start with the hardest projects first, and I don't know if I'm just a glutton for punishment or if that's just what I fall into. But actually, I wanted to get into something more long term, and so I consider flipping houses, new construction, obviously wholesaling as transactional businesses. So I find a lot, I build a house, I sell the house. Now I got to go find another lot. Or I find a house, I remodel the house, I sell it, I make money. Now I got to go find another house to flip. So those I consider transactional. They're one and done, and then you've got to spend marketing dollars or go find the next project. And so I wanted to do something that I could spend more time and money on up front, but then I could continue to benefit from it for years to come. So I started looking at both multifamily and self-storage all over the country. I was looking for existing self-storage facilities that we could do value add on. So go find a property that was not well maintained or well marketed. We could buy it, fix it up, make it nicer, raise rents, and then hold on to that asset for the long term. And we were doing the same thing, looking at multifamily. And I probably spent 2.5 years looking at both multifamily and self-storage, and just never could find anything that seemed to pencil out. Partially because I was a newbie, I was a beginner, and I didn't have all the knowledge that I needed to pull the trigger on those. But also during that time, sellers were wanting crazy prices for their multifamily and for their self-storage facilities. And so I actually had another wholesaler that I bought property from before, and he sent me 2 houses that were beside each other, and they were combined 4.5 acres. And I looked at them from a flip, what I could buy them for, what I could remodel them for, how much can I sell them, and they both worked as a flip. So I put it under contract to close in 2 weeks, I think. And then while I was doing my due diligence, I found out that the future land use map at the county showed that property as going general commercial. So basically what that means for your listeners who may not have the construction background is on a 4-lane road. There's a brand new Walmart market next door and a Dollar General. And then these houses in this residential area. And so the county had determined that over time, they wanted to see all of that residential property turn into commercial property. That's where they want commercial development to grow. And so they had determined on a future land use map that would eventually one day be commercial, which was to my benefit for self-storage. So I thought, well, I can flip these houses if I have to, but I'm going to try to take it through and get it zoned for self-storage. So did all the background work. I ended up closing on the property, which a lot of self-storage guys don't do, but I ended up closing and buying the property before I had any zoning approval or anything. But the reason was because I knew what I could sell them for if I just flipped them as a worst case scenario, and I knew I could make money on it anyway. So I thought it's safe to go ahead and close on it, safe to buy the property, try to take it through zoning. If I get approved, I'll go self-storage. If I don't get approved, then I'll just flip the 2 houses and sell them. So long story short, we did get approved for self-storage. We're building a 115,000 square foot Class A, all climate controlled, 3-story, like you see in some of the bigger cities now, on the 4.5 acres. So we're about 50% done with construction right now. It's 865 units. So it'll be my first foray into self-storage. So I'm going from 0 self-storage doors to 865.
That's wild. That's very, very cool. That's institutional grade.
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you another piece of the puzzle that made it make sense. So I bought the property, took it through zoning, and got it approved. And once I had it approved, I had a friend that I was in a mastermind with for many years who was a big time self-storage guy. And so I went to him once I got it approved, and I said, hey, I've never done a self-storage deal. This is a big project. I've raised a couple $100,000 at a time for houses, but we got to raise, we got to do it's basically a $15 million deal. We got to raise about $4 million from investors, and I've never done that. I don't know how to structure it. So anyway, I partnered with him, brought him in as a partner because he had the experience, the knowledge, the relationships, and I had to give up equity to do that. But at the same time, I was gonna lose money trying to figure out how to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I'd rather partner with somebody who knows what they're doing and I can learn from. So I brought him in, and that has made a huge difference because I'm learning how to do it from somebody who's very experienced, and he has a lot of great relationships and helped structure the deal, help raise the money. So it's been a great process so far by partnering with him instead of trying to keep the whole piece of the puzzle for myself.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And how is your deal structured with that? Is it a 70-30 investor GP or LP GP, and then split GP from there?
Yeah, so we actually made it kind of rich for the investors, which is always a good thing, I guess. They keep them happy, but we did. Yeah, exactly. So it's a little, I thought we were going to hold on to more of the equity on the GP side, but we ended up doing an 80-20. So the LPs get 80%, GPs keep 20, and then we gave them a 7% preferred return. So a little bit less on the prep than some people do, but we gave them 80% equity, 80% cash flow when we sell it, 80% of the profit. So yeah.
I'd say your next deal, you'll probably never do pref again. And it's either equity or you get pref, but no equity, or no pref at all. And you get to enjoy the benefits after the thing's built. We did a pref deal too. And to me, it's a loan from the investors, and you can go get a loan anywhere.
Yeah, but that's true.
It's, but you know what, that's where the learning comes into place, and wisdom is truly through going out there and doing it and learning as you go.
Yeah.
But you've got a massive asset on your balance sheet too, and that just opens up the doors for more to come. We bought a single family house, and I didn't even care about the house. I cared about the I-1 zoned land on the house. So we subdivided the house off the land, and the land was the asset, but we ended up selling the house too. So you had land for free, sell the house. So that's a major play out there. If you can find different parcels that are already zoned or going to be rezoned, and they're connected to the house, buy the asset, subdivide, and now you've got 2 assets, and use that to your advantage. I mean, it costs money to get it subdivided, but it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you done some self-storage as well on there?
No, I mean, I still own the land. I still have it. I come from new construction too, so we're kind of cut from the same cloth. One thing I cannot stand about new construction though is the amount of time that there's no cash flow coming in. Right. So we're predominantly all wrapped around apartments, which you have cash flow. Now you just got to increase the value. So I've got 3 good parcels that are ripe for developing. Just getting in the mindset and that comfort level. So.
Are they good for self-storage developing or multifamily?
Either or. I mean, the zoning will work for either one. Cincinnati, I've got a prime location in Cincinnati. The other one's in Walton, outskirts of Cincinnati. So, and the other one would be multifamily only. So, but we can certainly discuss that off the call.
Yeah, I'd love to. We're looking for some more self-storage land right now. So, we can talk about that offline.
It's hard to come by, that's for sure. Yes. Especially if you get it entitled. Well, if you get it entitled, it's one thing. If you go out and buy it and already entitled, I think all the equity's already gone at that point.
Right.
Buy it. But for the listeners, how would you guide them towards getting started in their real estate investing career or journey? knowing that know what you now know?
I would say find someone who's done it before and partner with them, or hire a mentor or a coach, or whatever you have to do to find somebody who's been there, who's done it, who's experienced, and it would shortcut the process so much. So for me, like I mentioned, it took us years of learning how to do real estate before we got to be good at it and got to grow our business. Because when I first started, like I said, my wife and I had no knowledge. We didn't know what a CRM was. We didn't know about triple line dialers and call flow systems and all the different things. We were keeping up with a spreadsheet and a notebook paper. And so probably one of the best things that I ever did for my business, and a lot personally as well, was joined a mastermind. That was kind of the first thing that I did to really help grow the business. Because what a mastermind is, it's a group. Ours was real estate focused, of course, and there were people in there doing single family, a lot of people doing single family, some doing multi, some doing self-storage, some doing development. But going to those and having 75 people from across the country who are all real estate minds. And so we all think alike. They're about business. They're entrepreneurs. They struggle with the same things like hiring and firing and training and, best practices. And so we were able to learn from people who at the time they were doing 100, 200, 300 deals a year. And, we were doing 50 or 60 at the time. And so I was able to get a ton of knowledge from them. And then we ended up partnering with a lot of those people where they would either be private lenders for us on our deals, or we would be private lenders for them on their deals. Some of them came into the self-storage deal with us. The partner that I brought in to do the self-storage deal with me was a friend of mine that I had met in that mastermind. So masterminds are usually a little more expensive than like a coach or a mentor. Obviously, if you can partner with someone who has a lot of experience, that's best case scenario, because it may not cost you anything up front. But if not, hiring a mentor, hiring a coach, I think is a great thing, because and make sure it's somebody who's reputable and somebody who has experience and knowledge and has done it and is doing it, whatever avenue of real estate you're looking to go into. And I think the mastermind thing, again, was probably the biggest thing we did for our business, but it's usually a little more expensive, maybe for a little bit higher level. Most of them are for a little bit higher level investor. But yeah, if I could go back and do it again, the first day I started, I would have hired a coach or a mentor right off the bat to save me years of having to learn on my own.
It's but it truly, you truly do not know what you don't know. So it's like the path. There's not a wrong path. YouTube's a great way to go out there and learn. The podcast, of course, all the podcasts that are out there. But at the same time, it's mentorship can accelerate your path there as well, and getting in the right room and just listening to others. So I totally agree with that. And then reading the books and all the good stuff. So very cool. Well, Brandon, I definitely appreciate you coming on the show today. If somebody wants to reach out, learn more about you, possibly invest alongside of you, how can they reach out?
The easiest way is they can email me, Brandon, Brandon, at theflipgenius.com. So Brandon at theflipgenius.com. That's also the website. My cell phone number is 404-429-2679. It's my personal cell phone number. I actually answer it. We're on all the social media under Brandon Rickman and the Flip Genius. So my cell phone number is actually on my Facebook page as well. So happy to talk to people, help in any way I can.
Cool. Awesome. Brandon, definitely appreciate your time today. Look forward to following you. Thank you.